Hello and welcome to this keynote. We'll be going in English because I suppose that some of you don't speak Italian, right? Raise your hand. Okay, at least we have two. Okay, good. Okay, so welcome to the session where we be talking about how we can talk on the new digital nervous system. So what if the next great leap in our generation in digital technology, we can say, is modeled after human brain and not just inspired from. So when we talk about making decisions, adapting, evolving, but also making connections, okay? This exploration wants to draw a bold metaphor on how cloud computing as the new digital nervous system, but also the human brain as the most important information processor we know for now, they can be compared together. Mastering the art of metaphor for me, but I think also for you, is an essential art for storytelling, as it helps the listeners to better understand even complex situations, okay? Because you are describing an alternative version of a complex situation and complex concepts by relating them to familiar ideas. So, considering that fairy tales that you may know are often metaphors of daily life, and I've been reading them for all my life, as most of you, I think, I hope, for sure. And now I also create them by using my own app. Let's start with one of them. Imagine for a moment that your brain is the world's most advanced cloud platform, okay? You have billions of neurons that can be represented as tiny servers where each one of them is firing off messages, it's making decisions, it's storing memories, for example, and they are making decisions in real time. Okay, the brain is always online most of the time, at least for me. It's always learning and it's always adapting. Does it sound familiar to you, this kind of situation? That's exactly what our digital cloud does, because it does it on a global scale, so on a complex situation. Historically, we've always compared the brain as the most advanced technology we have, like going from telegraph to telephones and now from computers to neural networks, okay? These metaphors aren't just poetic because they've shaped how both neuroscientists but also technicians, as all of us, approach their work. If you think of it, today the prevailing metaphor um, is that the brain is like a computer, okay, running complex programs and adapting when we have to govern thought, emotion, but also behavior. I'd argue that we're entering in a new era where the metaphor flips, because now it's the technology that's racing to keep up with the brain. This is where the decisions are made, the strategies are formed, and also agility is born. It's not just about reacting, it's about weighing options, it's about collecting experiences. It's about learning from experience. It's about imagining what could happen if we act differently. Just for the sake of clarity, if we think of the prefrontal cortex that's located at the front of the frontal lobes, This is a critical regional brain region, sorry, involved in higher level cognitive decisions. So when we talk about decision making, reasoning, social behavior, we have to think with this part of the brain. This acts as a conductor. So basically, when we are enabled in cognitive processes where we are trying to trace goals, we are using this part of the brain. The PFC is not a single entity, it's not like a single piece of brain, but it's a collection of interconnected areas from different functions. Inside Out, as you may know, the film. How many of you have seen this movie? For those who haven't raised their hand, they need to spend their time seeing this film. Inside Out made a great representation of how human brain works. But I say that the whole nervous system they describe is more about the complex brain. It's not only from the prefrontal cortex. So why are we talking about this special region of our brain? This evolution we have faced so far didn't happen overnight, for sure. From rodents to humans, the cortex evolved to handle complex decisions during the history. Try to balance exploring new strategy from the wisdom of the past. So balancing the future decision with the wisdom we collected in the past experiences. This area has the primary role to collect all these experiences and use it for future decisions. So it's a very hard task. And especially the prefrontal cortex helps regulate emotions, especially when it comes with complex decisions. Okay, when you feel anxiety, you are using this part of the brain because you are trying to defend yourself in a difficult situation. So in computational terms, it's like integrating model-free and model-based reinforcement learning, but constantly optimizing for the best outcome in a changing environment because we have to adapt. Okay, cloud computing faces the same challenge because basically it juggles with millions and billions of requests, balancing speed, reliability, and cost. He had to learn from patterns, for sure. He has to adapt to new demands, and he had sometimes, like the brain, even to make tough choices in different or complex situations, even if we have incomplete information. But both systems, biological and digital system, rely on distributed networks. So the brain's neurons are spread out, yet if they are perfectly coordinated. The cloud is a vast collection of web servers, if you want to. Each one is doing their own part, so they need to work together to make it work, basically. When you send a message, when you stream a video, when you do anything using your laptop or your phone, basically the cloud routes the request you made through the fastest or the most efficient or both of them path, just like your brain does to find out the quickest route to a solution in front of a problem. And just as the brain can rewire itself, um, this is the situation that neuroscientists call neuroplasticity. The cloud can reconfigure itself, can scale up, can shift resources in real time according to the situation. And this dynamic skill to adapt itself is what keeps both organisms, biological and digital, agile and responsive in face of constant change. Agility is not just a buzzword, okay? It's a survival trait. If you think in the wild, when it comes to a slow brain or a slow animal, if it's slow, it gets eaten, okay? And it's pretty the same in business because having a slow cloud, it means you go left behind. Okay, so to be agile, not in the terms of the methodology, but just to be agile, now is a survival trait, especially in this kind of era we're living currently. Now let's try to pick into the future. So scientists are already exploring ways to connect human brain to cloud computing. Imagine neural nanorobots, tiny devices that could go and navigate to your bloodstream across your blood-brain barrier and link to neocortex. Okay, I know this could be science fiction, but it's not, because early experiments have already demonstrated that you can exchange information actually between your blood, your brain, and your cloud computing instance. The implications of this are quite staggering, if you think, because instant access to all human knowledge may be achieved, collective intelligence, even some are claiming of a global super brain, and this could be a link to minds and AI, but also on cloud computing in real time. I don't know if you know this guy, Ray Kurzweil. I don't know if the surname is pronounced correctly, so sorry. This guy is one of the most AI visionary people in the sector, and together with Andrew Ng, they're trying to represent the actual and hypothetical vision of technology, both for AI topics and cloud computing topics. So during this TEDx, that it's on 2014, so it's not so recent, he suggested that humanity is on the verge of the next big leap in brain power. So this leap, according to Ray, will be achieved by tapping in the computer power. So using the connection between cloud computing and human brain can be the next great leap. He said basically that the development of the neocortex, so the very basic form of our brain, started 200 million years ago and was a key factor in what humanity has become now. He claimed to be talking about hybrid thinking, so this form where cloud computing and human brain are mixing together to achieve potential. And he said basically the cloud is just the next step, it's just the next natural step. Just to say, this guy is also the one that during an interview with Rolling Stones, that I think you may know as one of the biggest journals we have for, let's say, famous people or most criticized people, expressed his desire to create a clone, a genetic copy of his father that deceased a few years ago, using the DNA recovered from his grave. So basically, he said we can accomplish this by using multiple nanorobots to retrieve the DNA from the grave, creating a clone, but like a computing clone, and recovering memories using the memories of the son and the memories collected from the DNA, as the DNA represents information. It's the same guy. It has complex ideas, maybe strong, bold ideas, but so far to the 2020, he had right for most of them. Now, I'd like to also mention this episode of Black Mirror. How many of you have seen Black Mirror, especially the last season? Okay, together with Inside Out, you can recover, okay? By going back to the train tonight, you can recover. Okay, so exploring the first episode of the last season of Black Mirror in cloud computing can be interesting for two reasons. The first reason is that this episode is titled "Common People" because it's talking about normal people having to deal with normal issues that are normal for us. I think you may know at least one person that has dealt in the last 5 years with cancer, for example. And it brings a very important discussion of surrounding cloud computing in our personal environment. In fact, Black Mirror is known to be like a drama series, like a dystopic series, dramatizing the potential risks of using certain kinds of technology. And in this case, it's talking about the potential risks associated with depending on cloud-based services. Um, the two main characters are depending on a subscription model for critical elements of their life. I don't want to spoil anything for those who haven't seen the episode, so I just say this. But referencing this episode, when we have to address the cloud computing topic, the ethical and societal implications of embracing technology, especially for essential services, are quite important. So we have like a cautionary tale with possible consequences of applying this kind of technology, and we have visionary that goes beyond what we can imagine now, but not so distant because we are talking in 5 years what could happen using cloud computing. But let's bring it to the present. So how does the cloud make decision within the present? Much like the brain, it uses a combination of historical data, but also real-time monitoring, for sure. And we use also sophisticated algorithms to weight options and try to select the best course of action. So techniques like multiple criteria decision or others you may know could help cloud platforms taking decision, but also evaluate trade-off between resiliency, reliability, cost, and speed. Because we have to mirror the brain's own balancing act between risk and reward. And just as the brain evolved new layers for more nuanced reasoning, cloud platforms are evolving using AI for sure, because using, for example, machine learning algorithms can let them handle even more complex scenarios. But why does this metaphor matters for me? Because the way we imagine the brain and how it shapes the technology is the way we create technology now, and vice versa, if you think of it. Because as we move from comparing the brain to computers, we are trying to envision a world where the technology aspires to be as adapt, as resilient, and as creative of the brain. And we are trying to open up to new possibility for both fields. So for those who claim that technology, and especially AI, is the new in town, it's coming for you, please show this meme. And it's from yesterday when I was trying Excel, just trying to fill an Excel, just try to say January, February, it doesn't match. And it should be simple, right? So at least for those who have a brain, just to say. But let's not forget, the brain is still more than a machine, okay? This is very important. So whenever someone says you may lose your job in the next days or in the next years, remember that the brain has an organic complexity, has an ability to rewire, that's very important, has the ability to feel, to imagine. And these are the frontiers that technology is beginning to approach, but is not likely to solve in the next years. So as long our metaphors must evolve, our technology have to do the same. So as we stand on the intersection between neuroscience and cloud computing, we have to remember we're not just building faster networks or smarter algorithms, because we're constructing a digital nervous system for humanity. Okay, so one that, like the brain, needs to be agile, needs to be resilient, but first of all, needs to be endlessly curious, because the future belongs to those who can think like a brain and build like the clouds. So let's make sure we are ready for it. And that's it. Thank you.